Well, Djibouti has asked the African Union to deploy observers along its disputed border with Eritrea. This was after Qatar withdrew its peacekeeping troops 2 weeks ago. The Qataris were sent to the region after clashes broke out between Eritrea and Djibouti in 2008, but they were pulled out without warning last month. Qatar gave no reason for the withdrawal, but it came days after both Djibouti and Eritrea sided with Gulf Arab nations that had broken off relations with Qatar. And now, so far a dozen Djiboutian troops have been killed and dozens wounded in the clashes with Eritrea. The fighting erupted after Djibouti accused Eritrea of sending troops across the border. Well, joining us now via Skype from Washington, D.C., the United States, to discuss this issue is the Director, U.S. Foundation for the Horn of Africa, Sophia Tesfamariam. Thanks a lot, Sophia, for joining us at this time. Well, of course, it appears that Djibouti's appeal to the African Union has yielded some form of success, as Moussa Faki of the African Union Commission has now said indeed an African Union mission will open in the Djibouti-Eritrea border now to douse tensions, perhaps. What do you have to say about that?
I think a few clarifications are in place here. The African Union did not accept Djibouti and Ethiopia's request through the IGAD for troops to be sent to the border. So that's incorrect. The African Union did not do that. The African Union instead called for the two countries for restraint and said that it would be sending a mission to Eritrea to discuss the issue. So at the IGAD proposal that Ethiopia and Djibouti put together for a standby force or some kind of force on the border was rejected by the African Union. So that did not go through. Another thing that keeps coming up in the media that's not true is this talk about a disputed border between Eritrea and Djibouti. There is no disputed border between Eritrea and Djibouti. The border was demarcated a long time ago during the Italian colonization, and the French and the Italians know that this border is fully demarcated. So there is no border dispute with Djibouti. Whatever Djibouti's dispute is with Eritrea, it needs to come forward and tell it to the UN in clear terms. But it's certainly not a border dispute.
So are you now saying... All right. Okay. Thanks a lot for the clarification, Sophia. But then there does appear to be some falling out now between both countries. On the part of Eritrea, there's been allegations that ever since the Qataris left that area, soldiers from Eritrea have gone on now to dominate the area, so to speak, hence the appeal by Djibouti. What then would you add concerning this issue?
The Qatar forces, if they left from the Djibouti side of the border. So Djibouti can speak about Qatari and their territories, but they certainly cannot speak about the Qataris and the Eritrean side of the border. So the Qataris left because Djibouti expelled their ambassador or downgraded their diplomatic mission in Djibouti. Has nothing to do with Eritrea. Eritrea did not do that. Eritrea and Qatar continue to enjoy good relations. Yes, Eritrea has some concerns about Qatar's role in Libya and in Egypt and support for Islamist radical groups and movements. But the relationship remains cordial, and Eritrea still calls on Qatar to continue its mediation efforts with Djibouti.
All right. And then about Eritrea itself, there's been so many descriptions of Eritrea being called a pariah nation, not the North Korea of Africa, so to speak. Sophia, tell us about this impression and what can be done to correct it and make Eritrea indeed on friendly relations with Africa and indeed the rest of the world.
Well, Eritrea enjoys cordial relations and good relations with a lot of African countries and the rest of the world, as you say. The issues that Eritrea has been experiencing in the last 15 years have been a concerted effort by the United States and Ethiopia to malign Eritrea at every turn, isolate Eritrea from regional and international organizations, and all those attempts and campaigns have failed. And today, Eritrea and what Eritrea stands for is becoming more clear, and especially to the European Union. And more countries are working with Eritrea and investing in Eritrea. And Eritrea's image, which was defamed and maligned by the media and the Western media mostly, and some groups and individuals from Ethiopia and other countries, is now being cleared up. The truth is being known. It took a long time for the truth to emerge, but finally Eritrea is getting its say, and Eritrea is being recognized as being the country in the Horn, the most stable, the most peaceful country there is in the Horn of Africa today.
Sophia, you talk about the truth about Eritrea, but then there are some rather worrying statistics about the system of governance in Eritrea that has led to several human rights abuses.
Speculations and allegations, yes. We've had 15 years of allegations against Eritrea until today. Not the United Nations, not the Special Rapporteur, or any countries or any human rights organizations has been able to bring evidence to the table, to the Human Rights Council. No evidence. Yes, 10 million reports about Eritrea, but not a single evidence to substantiate the outrageous allegations against Eritrea. You know, Eritrea is a new country. It's only 25 years old, and less than 7 years into its independence, it has been being the focus of a very concerted, very ugly, very well-oiled defamation campaign against this very small, young country. And yes, it took a long time. We don't have the resources. The country does not have the resources to fight this kind of onslaught. But yes, the truth has emerged, as hard as it is for the media to accept. All the lies that have been told about Eritrea today are coming to light. And Eritrea is not the country that has been portrayed in the news. And people who visit Eritrea and who have been doing that in the last few years have been able to say that that's not true. Several fact-finding missions have gone from European cities, and all of them have come back and said, these things are not true. What we hear about Eritrea is not true.
All right, Sophia Tesfamariam, of course, joining us from Washington, D.C. now to discuss the issue on relations between Djibouti and Eritrea. Thank you very much, Sophia, for speaking with us. Of course, she represents the U.S. Foundation for the Horn of Africa.
Thank you very much.